Hey guys, did you know that in terms of human players and viral diseases, the corrupted blood is the most compatible? Alright, sit down, let me set the scene. It's September 13th, 2005. Patch 1.7.0 goes live in World of Warcraft, alongside the release of Zul'Gurub, we call it ZG. And players are very excited to get into this raid. If you don't know, a raid is just a big dungeon with more players, and harder bosses. One boss in ZG has a pretty good golden retriever name, Hakar the Soulslayer. Some people would even call him a blood god. So one of Mr. Hakar's abilities is to start a plague. Basically, he puts a debuff on a player called Corrupted Blood that does 250 to 300 damage every couple of seconds. And considering most players in this raid averaged 4 to 5,000 HP, Corrupted Blood is more of an annoyance than an actual threat. However, the transmission method is where this gets fun. Corrupted blood spreads through proximity. Basically, if you were close to another player and had corrupted blood, they became infected. If someone comes close to you with corrupted blood and you didn't have the plague, then you became infected. Essentially, if you want to avoid getting the bubonic plague, you gotta take the same precautions that we did with a certain virus and just isolate yourself. But there's an issue. You see, hunters in WoW are bastards. My apologies, sir, that was unrelated. Hunters in World of Warcraft can tame animals and take them on adventures, and into raids. And do you remember how corrupted blood spreads between players? Well, turns out it also goes to dog and cat and rat. Here's another interesting fact about hunters. They can dismiss their pets and recall them later. Though usually this works fine. However, corrupted blood was originally confined to ZG only. Yet if a devious hunter just happened to dismiss their pet within 5 seconds of contracting corrupted blood and then exited the raid zone, the pet would still have corrupted blood outside Zul'Gurub. To my knowledge, this was actually first found out by accident. An innocent, if there are any, hunter dismissed their pet after getting corrupted blood and resummoned it in a major population centre. Do you remember when I said this spreads through proximity? Within hours, Ironforge and the filthy Orange City had been infected entirely, through no small part due to the disease's ability to also infect NPCs. For high-level players, this didn't really matter. They could just wait out the debuff or even heal themselves. But for the low levels, they couldn't survive even a single tick of damage. Like, imagine this. You just made a new Orc character, and you book it to Orgrimmar. However, you pass a single guard, and now Hakar the Soulslayer on a different continent murks you instantly. And it's not like reviving would help you, you just get infected by some fellow human and die again. And this quickly became a visual mess too. You see, when you die in World of Warcraft, you leave your body behind and have to run to it in spirit form, where you resurrect nearby, leaving a skeleton in its place. Because of the amount of people and resurrecting, the cities were filled with corpses. It was actually like some Black Death reenactment stuff from what the surviving pictures of the incident show. I even found a report saying that the spirit healers were infected, but I can't verify that. To be honest, I can't verify any of this, because this incident happened before I was swimming in my dad's sack. By the way, now that I've got your attention on spirit healers, you guys have got to hear me out. Her entire purpose is dedicated to healing and helping you. Also, just look at her. Like, damn, underrated baddie. And by the way, we do know they can be in relationships. See? Says right there on Wikipedia. Well, it says she's in love. Dude, I'd crack a ghost baddie any day. When the corrupted blood spread, people had a load of reactions. And in a life imitates art kind of way, the 2020 incident saw people acting the same way. I'll just list some of these off, and you say if they sound familiar, okay? The outbreak started as an accident. People maliciously spread the plague. People acted as altruistic healers. Some people self-isolated. Some people ignored warnings and kept playing. Do any of those sound familiar? My favourite response, though, in line with human nature, there were some devious scoundrels who saw this terrible malady, the skeletons lining the street and the snuffed life around them, and these fuckers thought, oh yeah, I can make bank off this. Like a true Star Sector player, They saw a world in flames, and they saw the dollars too. There were some boys who would stand outside cities and sell people amulets that protected from the Blizzard server event. The amulet was usually just vendor trash, and the seller made off with a good amount towards their epic mount. I also found a story that apparently there were some guilds who would send high-level players into cities and chart maps of passage. Then they guide low-level people around the infected NPCs and players to their class trader, or whatever they wanted. But the best thing that came of the Corrupted Blood incident is that it actually had a real-world impact. And I'm not making this up, I promise, right? There were several papers published using the incident as a behavioural case study. I found one that suggested MMOs could be used to simulate pandemics, not because they are accurate, but because they show the social response. And although I've joked about it, the Corrupted Blood incident did actually help inform the Bat Plague pandemic guidelines, although it wasn't of much influence. In 2020, we had a bad incident that afflicted major population centres that was accelerated by travelling. People voluntarily isolated, people became voluntary healthcare workers, people were willingly spreading it, and people posted abysmally dogshit rumours about it. Do any of those sound like player response to the Corrupted Blood incident? You know, even though the incident had little influence over the guidelines, when you extrapolate that small influence to the number of people adversely affected by Mandarin bats, there's got to be someone who actually was saved, or at least helped by the Corrupted Blood incident, which is pretty damn cool. By the way, the Corrupted Blood incident inspired the zombie infestation event of the pre-patch of Wrath of the Lich King, when the Scourge invaded major cities across Azeroth. And even the skeleton bone boy zombie fucks couldn't match the amount of skeletons in Stormwind that a glitch from Forest Shamans made. So, in conclusion, who do you think helps more people? Little Penny and her friendly brother Jack, or Hakar the Soulflayer? You know, I think there's a lot we can learn from this guy. Maybe in a few years he could even teach us blood magic too.